Greetings, everybody. It's Jim. When you're playing a game and you're reading instructions for the first time, if rules aren't written as well as they should for a smaller game, which is very light in the rules, a lot of the times experienced gamers can just kind of wing it and say, okay, this is the spirit of the rule, we'll do this. And even if it's slightly wrong, it won't unbalance the game because everybody else is playing by the same rules. So it's actually still kind of fair to the point. That happens most of the time. But when a game is very complicated, it has to be written with, I know you're trying, especially in a micro game, I know they're trying to save space because of the pages and stuff like that, but some things just have to be spelled out a lot better and a lot differently. Today, unfortunately, I'm giving you my pretty quick review of Richard I, the Lionheart, and showing you how unplayable it was. So I was really looking forward to Richard I the Lionheart for two reasons. One of them, it's a micro game, of course, and it's one of 4 micro games by Mayfair Games. They came out with the castle, which I did a review on a little bit ago. I do have Transylvania, and the only one that's eluded me so far is ICBM. But also, Richard I the Lionheart, I wanted to see how it would stack against Columbia Games' game, Richard III. Now, the politics may be different, but it sounds like the same idea is in place. You fight for control of the land, but you're also trying to maneuver politically vassals and other leaders to join and switch sides. They make you choose, right? So I got my notes here about basically what went wrong here, and one of them was there's a lot of assumption in this game, I feel. One of them is about zones of control. Like, they assume that you're a war gamer, you know what's going on. They make all these family games like, the castle and very light war games, or light games, and then they throw this game out assuming that anybody that picks it up is going to be a hardcore war gamer. They talk about zones of control, like with these units. Units will not exert zones of control XXX, but they never explain what zones of control are. And it's just like, it tells me that when they play tested this, they play tested it only with a small group of people around them. And I did this. I actually had this happen with another review I did. Is Grim as Night by Dark City Games. They make role-playing games that's kind of going off the fantasy trip solo games. And you could tell that they just were their own little group, and they made a lot of assumptions, and they never set it out to play test outside the group. So sure, they were finding mistakes and everything like that, but they all knew about this term or that term, and they just assumed that you would too. And that's just a big mistake to make, and Mayfair definitely made them in this. Now, as we all know, we've probably encountered a game where we had questions at startup that kind of really stalled us for a little bit, and I can tell you, it's worth double the amount of negative points towards the game for any kind of setup problems, okay? It's one thing to have a question mid-game, but when you're starting, you're off to a bad start. And the thing is, in this game, it's like a regular war game. As most war gamers know, there's 4 numbers on every hex. The first 2 numbers are the X coordinate, and the last 2 numbers are the Y coordinate on the board, so you can easily find where units start or where special events would happen. You can easily locate it. The reason why, especially in war games, just because you're playing a war game doesn't mean you're an aficionado of the area. And in this game, they said, place this unit here in this city. And I'm like, I have to search the entire map because they didn't put the hex coordinates down. I take that back, though, and this is a real frustrating part. They did do it for 2 units. Somehow they decided, hey, let's make sure that they can find these 2 units and where they belong. But everybody else would just call the city by name. They had the space to just put the hex coordinate, but they didn't do it. And it really was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. Now, in the game, there's about 11 vassals, okay? They're unaligned people that you're trying to diplomatize to your side. Diplomatize? The leaders would use diplomacy to get the vassals to fight on their side. That's what I'm going for. But anyway, they would do that, but there's only 6 vassal counters, and there's like 11 or 12 vassals. And I'm like, wait a minute, where are the other vassals at? And we're supposed to be putting them on the map, and I'm like, or where their starting location is, and I'm losing my mind trying to figure this out. Maybe there's an assumption that, you don't put them on the board until they join your side or something like that. That's why they're A through F, rather generic. But I didn't get that, when I was playing. It's like, this is their starting position. And when you hear starting position, you're looking for a counter, aren't you? It's like, okay, I got to put somebody somewhere. So I really wasn't grasping the idea of that. So I know I was looking through the game with broken rose-colored glasses at this point, and I understand that. But this is any indication to you. Look at this chart table over here. There's a lot going on in this game, and it's only written in 8 pages of rules. I think it's 8 pages, but it's very thin in a micro game format, you know, and they're not using really small fonts either. And they're not using big fonts, but it's just normal size, and so I just don't think they really did a really good job of explaining anything. I went to Board Game Geek for help. Nothing in the forums, only 19 ratings. It's an old game, so you're not, you know, anybody who is rating the game is doing it off of memory of like, what did I think about that game? You know, mind you, I really wish somebody would said something about if they were really frustrated and why, because there were some low ratings, but they just kind of marked it and that was it. They probably couldn't remember, but man, it's just not a playable game as it is right off the bat. The potential's there. I doubt it's really bad at all. It's just that it's not explained well. And if somebody could actually rewrite the rules and say, hey, this is what it was meant to be, I bet you I'd like to give it another shot. But anyway, that's the video. Make sure you write your instructions clear for everybody, especially for first-time players, and I'll see you next video.